In my last video, I chronicled the journey of organizing for a last-minute cake. However, in this video, we're going to be decorating the cake and I'll bring you to the end result of the cake that had kept me stacked for time. Even though the cake is a last-minute cake, for once, it wasn't the customer's fault. In recent times, I have struggled to focus attentively and it's been very difficult for me to get my tasks in order. And as a result, I left things too late, and at 9:43 p.m., I realized that whatever I did to avoid the task of making a cake had to be out the next day at 1 p.m. I hadn't planned any of my tasks in advance, from fondant, covering boards to ganache and buttercream. So somehow I mastered every inner resource in me to finish a cake last minute, even though I settled for a basic design. So I thought, in full disclosure, I was going to bring you along the journey, and having prepped through and organized all the resources for the cake to be made in the previous video, in this video we're going to be decorating the cake. I'll be linking the previous video up here somewhere for you to see, so that you can go and check and see some background to the video we're watching today. However, if you're new here, hello and welcome. My name is Gladys. I'm a baker and cake artist, and over here I make simple, informative videos to help you navigate cake decorating easily. I also try to bring you any and everything about cake, and also try to be transparent by bringing you some of the real issues that happens behind the scenes, i.e. cake making, as well as some of the issues as a cake maker I struggle with. And at the moment, one of my biggest struggles is attention and procrastination. I think those are subjects I'll be delving into much later, but in today's video, like I said earlier, we will be decorating this rather simple cake, and having worked through the night, we'll be taking it from the morning of the night after. So good morning, it's 9:34, and if you haven't noticed, I have just woke up. So my goal is to brush my teeth, get changed, and then dash straight to the kitchen and start with the cake that I was working on yesterday. There was a lot to do. I ended up going to bed about 4:30 a.m. So I've only slept, give or take, about 4 to 5 hours, but I'm not complaining. I spent the night responding to some inquiries, which was important, because by morning, when I'm busy with the cake, I don't respond to inquiries quickly, and customers have been waiting. Those I can't take. I don't take all orders that drops in my mailbox. Most of them I turn down, but I look for the opportunity to create some great cakes that are joy-filled for me because that then inspires some of the beautiful outcomes of some of the cakes. So I'm gonna go brush my teeth, get changed, so that I can get straight to the kitchen. After baking the cake late last night, I left them in the fridge to cool and set. My plan for the morning is to level and fill the cake layers first, then leave the layers to set again in the fridge whilst I work on baking the second chocolate cake. And once that was in the oven, I'll continue with decorating the first cake. The chocolate cake is going to be made into a bicycle themed birthday cake, which I'll be showing you later. My hope, though, is whilst working through this rather tight time schedule, is to avoid decorating issues at all costs, whilst I encourage working far in advance, leaving time to correct any developing decorating errors. I haven't done well keeping my own advice, so I'll count on the cake gods to behave and let me get through this moment rather unscathed. While at it, I did mention in the previous video that this last minute cake had come as a result of me taking this order whilst I was already tight on schedule. I'm already struggling with focusing attentively, which I am not exactly sure why. I began to notice patterns in my own behavior recently when I'd spent a considerable amount of time doing other things except for anything cake related. I thought I had burnout stemming from some draining personal issues from the year before, but this has carried on through my January and February till now, and I'm keeping an eye on my progress and how to change from this if possible. The cake is filled and layered and already in the fridge to set the buttercream. The cake was chilled from the night before, so the layers were firm, which meant I avoided a trouble related to working with freshly baked delicate crumb. Advisably, it's important to leave your freshly baked cake to set the crumb before building the cake, but I just had a couple of hours from the night before, and with the baking of the cake starting a little after 10 p.m, there was only a little time to work with before the cake was due for collection at 1 p.m. next day. With that in mind, I had to make things work in my favor, and it seems to be going well. Anyway, I had 2 cakes going out, but the second wasn't due until Sunday, which is the next day now. So my goal was to work in the order of priority. For some reason, I had blocked the idea of the second cake out of mind, so it wouldn't bother me to invest some more time, as all my time needed to be focused on the cake that was going out first. I, however, organized the ingredients and completed the prep work for the chocolate cake alongside the red velvet cake, so it's easier to make the batter and bake the cake this morning, which is what I am doing now. Decorating begins on the first cake due out soon, and I'm edging towards 11 a.m. and feeling rather confident of finishing before time. I'll tell you to avoid last-minute cake orders, as they come with a huge note of caution and extra stress. But I must admit, I am now conflicted about taking last-minute cake orders. For this cake though, the customer was a loyal return client, and I felt it necessary to take the order as a means to help out. However, most times I would refuse orders less than a week's notice, except when I'm better organized. But what's your take? Do you take on last minute orders, or like me, you avoid them completely? The irony here though is, whilst there may have been time to take the order and make the cake, procrastination and inability to focus attentively amongst other commitment leaves me with even less time to get the cake done, which is what's happened here. So our cake is nearly done. You saw me crumb coat and cover the cake in ganache, and I covered it with a small layer of buttercream, just so that the sprinkles will attach to it when I come to decorating it. Ganache sets hard, and with the layers of cake being so chill and firm, the ganache has set hard, so it's going to be difficult to apply the sprinkles when I am decorating the cake. So the buttercream is just a thin layer that will serve as glue to hold the sprinkles as part of the decoration on the cake. Whilst we're at it, the chocolate cake that I put in the oven is back. I'll wrap it up, leave it on a countertop to cool down a bit, and then pop it in the fridge, and I'll be back to decorate that later. Having said that, talking about last minute cakes, it must feel as though because I'm in a pickle, I don't like last minute cakes. Like I mentioned earlier, I am in a conflicted feeling about last minute cakes, because I know most bakers do not like to take them, and I have heard from groups of people who have several reasons for taking them and others who completely avoid them. I avoid them depending on where I am and how I feel about them. However, it's not a blanket option that I don't take them or take them. Depending on circumstance, I would say they are still a great way to advertise yourself, because when you make last minute cakes for a customer, you find that you're helping them out of a situation which they may be grateful for and may be loyal to you and help you grow your business. But perhaps that's not a good reason to take on a last minute taxing cake that may be difficult to finish anyway. But if you're a beginner, I won't recommend last minute cakes for you, because they do come with a huge level of stress. But for me, I fall into a certain category where my cakes are normally custom made. So unless it's a very simplistic design that I choose to take on, I avoid last minute cakes, especially for custom orders, because it takes time to organize the elements and put the cake together. But this cake was a rather simple one, so I was happy to take it on, and I'm not mad about it. But I thought I will bring you behind the scenes with me just to see what goes on when I take on an order like that. And I hope this video has proven useful to you. If you found some value here, do hit the subscribe button. Join the family of Gladys Cake Kitchen. We are growing. Thank you if you're new here, and also hit your notification bell to be notified of future videos such as these and more. Before we get to our cake, here's a quick look at the completed chocolate cake made into a bicycle themed cake with a custom topper. The idea is a muddy and rocky terrain within a forest, which I dreamt up rather quickly. For our cake, here is the princess themed red velvet layered cake covered in ganache and decorated with edible sprinkles and piping detail.